Well, good afternoon, I'm Joe Kerris from Match Fishing Magazine, and over my shoulder is England international Kevin Folwell. Now we're at Yokill Farm Fisheries today and we're doing a feature with a bit of a difference. Kevin's been catching over 1,500 fish in a 5-hour match for weights up to £60. Now it's not roach and rudd like you probably expect when you're talking about numbers of fish like that. It's actually little carp that have actually bred in this lake, and there's thousands and thousands of them to go at. And they've been having whip specific matches here and Kevin's been dominating them. As you see behind me, he's catching up to sort of 7, 8, maybe even 10 fish a minute in a good minute. I think we should go and see how he does it. So Kevin, 1,500 fish in a match. How the hell do you go about doing that?
Oh well, Joe, it's all about having an efficient sort of style. It's not speed. It's just about doing everything in a right manner and keeping a flow. I like to keep the bait quite low down. The bulk is within is right on top of a 3-inch hook length.
Yeah.
And it's fishing as soon as it's in the peg. So I'm getting a fish, or at least a bite, within 2 or 3 seconds of the bait being in the water.
And you're just loose feeding maggots. There's no complicated baits or anything. You're
Nope.
just nice and simple.
Yeah,
red
yeah.
maggots.
Just red maggot, and the only time I change that is if it's a little bit hard. I put a little bit of slop in.
Yeah, just to gather
Raw-
some fish.
to
Yeah.
raw fish, yeah.
And it's obviously, like you say, it's all about getting everything right. Like you're not feeding a lot, just enough to keep them at the right depth, which
That's
today
right.
is what, 18 inches? Ish?
18 inches seems to be spot on today. Yeah, I would say the way it's been, bait usage is around about just under 3 pints for a 5-hour match.
Yeah. So not stacks and stacks of
No,
bait.
It's half dozen maggots, every drop in, and keeping it tight.
And obviously, to catch this amount of fish, you can't be rebaiting all the time. So you're threading a maggot on the hook.
Yeah.
And I mean, today you've had some maggots where you've caught 70 plus fish, with
That's
that
right,
one
yeah.
maggot, haven't you?
Yeah, get a maggot that's working well for you, it can catch loads.
But it's sort of like the small things that I'm noticing today. It's like having the right length of line,
Yeah.
so that the fish comes nicely to hand and you can just tuck your top kit under your arm.
That is a big bonus. Having the rig at such a point where, as your fish is in your hand, you can support the top kit under your arm. So it's becomes sort of like just a one in action. So
Yeah.
the pole goes under the arm as you're sort of like unhooking your fish in your net, swing it out, and it's all just very efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. And noticeably, it's the first thing I probably asked you. You're not using a whip; you're actually using an elasticated top kit. Why is that?
Throwback from the days on the river, really, where there's always going to be an odd bonus fish. Now that we're doing this sort of fishing on commercials, there's always a chance that something will come along and spoil your party. So you need a chance of getting it out, which you can do with
Elastic.
with the elastic.
I mean, you have had a brown goldfish at probably a pound, and there's a lot of carp swimming around. So
Yeah,
there's every chance you could hook one of them for the
we're
days
hooking
out.
one pretty soon. I've no doubt.
But yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you're sort of catching 7 a minute on average, probably 10 on a good minute, and it's just amazing how little you're feeding, but it's regular, small amounts, and the fish are just. It's noticeable they're not boiling on the top
Nope.
as well, because that's all about keeping your feed regulated, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. If they were boiling on the top, you'd probably end up missing quite a lot of bites. And while you can keep it sort of like at a depth, a manageable depth, you hit everything first time. You miss very little, and it's all, again, all part of a nice flowing action.
I mean, now you're going for a real run as we're filming this.
It's one of them things. On occasions, you sort of put in 10 a minute in your net. There's one for the black hole. The other times when you have to change your bait or you get tangle or something, you drop your rate. But normally it's averaging out about 6 or 7 a minute,
Which is pretty good going. Now, I'm no mathematician. How many is that an hour? You were saying about 300?
Yeah, I mean, the first quarter of an hour this morning, I did 100 fish in the first quarter of an hour, and it's.
And is that an above average pace as a rule?
It's very, yeah. It is really. I mean, it's been what I've been doing is round about 300, 310 an hour, and that is sort of like, that's averaging out. That's your good times, and you sort of. Your slower times, it's been averaging out at 300 and plus an hour.
And it's worth saying that these aren't fish that they've stocked, are they? They're actually bred in this lake.
That's right, yeah. They've surprised the fishery. It sort of like suddenly appeared, and then there's an explosion of them. There's thousands and thousands of them.
It says a lot about the water quality, doesn't it? If they can breed and happily grow in here. And I know it's not something you do so much here, but on this box behind you, you've actually got number counts for your fish, and you make a big emphasis on that, don't you?
I try to maintain sort of like to know exactly what I'm doing in each hour, because doing things like this, you can slow down, you can get a bit lazy or blasé, and I think to myself, if I've had an hour where I've dropped the pace, I sort of it's a little reminder to say, come on, get on with it. You need to pick it up again. And while I sort of make a note of what I catch each hour, I know whether or not I'm on top of it.
Yeah. So rig choice, we've kept it. We've mentioned the length of line, but obviously the float and the shotting is super simple, isn't it? What exactly is it you're using?
Shot wise.
Yeah.
Shot wise, it's shotted with 6 number 8 shot.
Yeah.
And
0.4 float.
0.4 float. It's sap fishing immediately it hits the water.
And that's exactly what you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Registers your hold ups, because there is quite a few hold up bites, isn't there, as well as unders.
The float just tilts over slightly to one side, that's a bite. Holds up slightly, that's a bite. Doesn't move for 4 seconds, that's a bite.
But I think the biggest lesson for me, obviously the feeding and the rig choice is so important, but it's the rhythm, because you could quite easily think, 1,500 fish in a match, I need to go like Billy-O, but you don't do it at all.
It's just keeping
smooth.
It simple, keeping it sort of consistent and regulated, really.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, we'll let you crack on for another hour or so, and then we'll have a little count up.
Okay. Yeah, cheers, Jim.